Hello? Hello? How is everybody doing? Great, great. Thank you for your time. This sand is a portion of our hour, and it's something that we are all spending here today. In exchange for your sand, what I'll try to do as a thank you for your attention is to make you all millionaires by the time my sand is up. Is that okay? Raise a hand who would like to be a millionaire. Surprisingly small number of people. Everybody else just lies. It's fine. So I've spent the majority of my career as a freelancer, carefully trading my time, and partly because I have problems with authority, and partly because I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do when I wanted to do that. And the thing is that I couldn't put my finger until I got older on why was I like this. And I never liked the traditional career, the thing where you go to a grade school, have good grades, so you can go into a good high school where you can have good grades, you can go to a college where you can have good grades, so you can find a good job, and then you can get married and get a mortgage and get a dog and a car, and then you will be happy. It never sit well with me. And we are using our time as our primary currency. Even if we are not aware of that, subconsciously, we are doing that. In everyday conversations, we use phrases like, how did you spend your time? I spent time with my family this weekend. Oh, time well spent, sir. So spending time on things that we cannot buy with money. But rarely we will say, I'm trading 8 hours of my time to get some money. We will never say, I'm going to go spend 8 hours a day to earn money. And more often than not, our salaries are calculated on hourly basis. So this is what we are doing. And I learned a couple of things that I would like to share with you in these years of doing what I do, is that material things do not equal happiness. Living for a pension is a trap, and time is more valuable than the money. And I'd like to start with a story of a neighbor I had when I was a kid, Mr. David, or Mr. D, as we call him. And he was he worked some government job. I don't know exactly what it was never a topic. He worked abroad, we're mostly in Germany and around the world. He was never at home, but he was always sending money to his family. And when he retired, I think my grandpa was a little bit envious of this guy, because he always saw like he retired in this big house and had all of these cars and real estate and a house down the coast. But the time he retired, his wife actually got sick and died. And I didn't see what my grandfather saw. I only saw this tired old man sitting alone on his balcony. And I just never understood my grandfather's point of view. So one day he fell down and he was yelling for help, and I heard him, and I broke into his house so I could help him. And while we were waiting for the ambulance, he knew that he was on his last days, and he broke down and he told me about how regretful he was, that he spent his entire life away from his family under the excuse that he was doing it all for the kids. But the thing is, he never got to know his children, and they never got to know him. So they were estranged. And yes, he sent all of the money, he bought them all the stuff, but here he was spending his last minutes in the arms of a neighbor's kid. So that was the last time when I saw him, and that regret that he shared stuck with me for my entire life. And now that I'm nearing my midlife, I started noticing more and more people who are living their life like that, where they are buying stuff to impress other people, stuck in this when-then loop. When I buy my dream car, then I'm going to be happy. When I get a bigger house, then I'll have everything. Or when I fly first class and show it on Instagram, then I will finally tell to my friends that I am an amazing person. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong flying with first class. But if your goal to fly first class is to show it on Instagram, then that's a problem. And you're stuck in a trap of this. When I insert the thing that people want, then I will be enough or whatever. And when you're in this trap, you're placing your happiness in extrinsic things and the opinions of others. So the truth is that if you think that you do not have enough, you will never have enough. So think about that for a moment. If you think you do not have enough, you will never have enough. And I love this quote by George Carlin that says, trying to be happy by accumulating possessions is like trying to satisfy your hunger by taping sandwiches all over your body. Like, you will not be happy in your third car if you're not happy in the first two. But if you wake up knowing you have enough, then you can always have more. And to have more, all you have to do is be more. And to be more, you just have to spend time on growing yourself as a person. We all work for money, but there are things that money can buy. And this is why I put price on everything that I do. So every hour that I spend has a price on it, even though I don't communicate it to everybody. And now, the older I get, I say no way more. Some years ago, I had an opportunity to meet this amazing person. She was a couple years older than me, and she worked in the startup world and already had a couple of successful exits behind her, had some stocks and options, a lot of money in the bank, and was just killing it in the startup business. And to be honest, I was a little bit jealous of that person, because at that time in my life, I fetishized that type of working, like grinding 12 hours a day, just giving all your time for the company so you can make a lot of money. And her goal was to make a lot of money by the time she's 40, retire, and then raise her kids. But unfortunately, as life goes, her sand ran out, and she died at age 39. And I'm 100% sure that her kids are not happy, thinking, I'm so glad mommy died and left us all of this money. I'm 100% sure that will never happen. Yes, on average, people do live to be 75, but we cannot bet on averages. There's a lot of retired single people who spend their life working for that magical future. When it was time to enjoy it, their partner passed away, and now they're alone. And if you spend your time building other people's dreams in exchange for money to buy stuff that you do not need, you will not have time to spend it living yours. And I try to learn lessons through other people's mistakes, but it's hard. And I can tell you that there is no client today that will get me working outside of my working hours or during the weekend. Or maybe, if it's really important, I will charge a premium on it, 10x my price, and then I can explain to my wife, like, look, in this weekend, I'm going to make a month of salary, so hopefully we will get some chance to spend it soon. But it doesn't happen that often. People will rather say no and wait for a couple of days. It turns out it's not that important. So I started working remotely over 10 years ago, and COVID kind of made my point for me, but 10 years ago, my reasoning was I spend almost 2 hours a day in commute going to and from the office. That's 40 hours a month you spend in a car or a bus. I did a quick back-of-the-napkin math. In a span of a 35-year career, that's 2 years spent in a vehicle. 2 years of your whole life you're trading away to go to and from the office. That was kind of scary for me, and I would rather take whatever the amount of 40 hours was, a pay cut, to work my work-from-home job. So when I started writing this talk, one of the first ideas was that I want to share with you a photo that scares me. I'm not scared by a lot of stuff, but this is something that scares the bejesus out of me. So the traditional career path of working your best years for the promise of the future, where you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, is a lie that we were sold on. If you want to climb a pyramid, you're going to do that when you're 35 or younger. You're not going to climb a pyramid when you're 75. And this is something that I'm really scared of, being that old couple that finally gets to enjoy it. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming our parents. I'm not blaming our teachers. They did not know better. But we can choose to do things that fulfill us. And that maybe doesn't pay as much as the corporate thing that we hate, but it will make our present life more fulfilled. There was numerous research done with people in elderly homes and hospice care, and a lot of interviews with them reflecting back on their lives, asking people, like, what do they wish they've done more? Funny enough, nobody said, I wish I worked more, I wish I'd make my boss happier, Nobody said, oh, if I only bought one more car or a watch, or if I only did this. And like the most things they said was, I wish I spent more time with my family, I wish I traveled more, I wish I said no more to idiots, and I wish I did more of the things that I wanted to do, not pleasing people who are not of any importance in my life. And some cynical people might say, well, it's easier said than done, and point out that there are people who were served everything on a silver platter in their life. And that's true. And you don't have to be a victim of that mindset, thinking like, oh, life was not nice to me, so I have nothing better to do than just do the thing. It's hard to break out of the chains of slavery to an alarm clock and doing the things that you hate, to rent a box in a limitless universe, and do that until you're old and tired, until you realize that everything you were doing was for the sake of other people, and then in the meantime, life passed you by. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not against money. I think money is great, and if you want to make a lot of money, do it. The whole point of this talk is to do whatever you want to do. That's the idea. And if you want to make a lot of money and buy a lot of stuff, great. Just be aware what you are trading off, so you can avoid the whole regret thing when it's too late. So one thing that I would like you to realize, that you are that old person in a nursing home. You are that person. You will be there. We have a tough time thinking about it, that we will grow old and we will die, and it's going to happen really quickly. And we get trapped in this thinking that somehow money is finite and we have unlimited time to make more money. Unfortunately, that's not true. So I like to have a conversation with my 15-year-old self. I converse with this kid in my mind, and I have a conversation with me when I'm 75. So think about this. Next time you're making a decision, talk to 75-year-old self and ask them, what would you like to do? Like, what would make you proud? I want to make this kid's dreams come true. I really do. So if he wants a motorcycle, I'm going to buy a motorcycle. But the 75-year-old guy will say, like, but drive carefully. I would like to be here. So just think about that. You choose a role you want to play. The character is not chosen for you in this game of life. It is influenced by your surroundings and interactions with your environment and subsequent decisions you make. But the freedom comes in realizing that everything is a product of our choices. So please choose wisely. Regardless of how much money we make, we cannot buy more sand. So if I gave you $10 million today, and I told you your sand will run out tomorrow, and you don't get to wake up ever again, do you still want it? No? So if you thought no, this means that your tomorrow and all of the possibility it holds is worth to you more than all of these millions. So please, tomorrow, if you wake up, realize that you woke up a millionaire. Thank you for your 15 minutes of your life.